Baby, you don't have to take sides. You don't have to defend her. People like her are liabilities, I know that. Come on, don't pretend. She stresses you a lot, right?
Can you stop this? You're embarrassing me in front of my sister, Johnson. She's not a burden to me, okay?
But you know she is. We've been together for a year, love. I know when you're lying, and right now you are. Tell me, do you help her clean her butt when she uses the toilet?
Hi. My name's Lily, and I'm 24 years old. I live with my elder sister, Lana, who's 27. We've been living together since I was 19. Lana works as a developer at 3 different gaming companies, while I work as a remote marketer. I finished college early, when I was 21, and got a job 2 years after. On the day I graduated from college, I got into an accident that nearly claimed my life. I was unable to walk after. Lana's fiance, Johnson, didn't like me. He and Lana had met about a year ago. He was a business partner of one of the gaming companies she worked in. My sister hates disappointing people, so she refused to introduce him to us until he proposed. Since she was big on marriage, she tried to avoid introducing any unsure relationship to us. So, when she told me Johnson proposed and she'd introduced him to our parents, my joy knew no bounds. I was so excited and eager to meet the man who'd captured my sister's heart and trust. Sadly, our meeting didn't turn out to be as I imagined. When Johnson and Lana walked in, I excitedly wheeled myself toward them and extended my hand for a shake. Hi, Johnson. I'm so excited to finally meet you.
What? A cripple? I can't believe this. She must be a liability to you, baby. Why don't you just let her be with your parents?
Excuse me? She's my sister, Johnson. I love being around her, and she's not a liability.
Well, yeah. Shockingly, the first time I met Johnson, after expressing so much happiness, that was his reaction. I felt a pang of sadness in my chest. I knew I wasn't a liability to Lana. She often offered to help me with certain things, but I always refused. I didn't ever want to be a burden to her, so I learned to do everything on my own. I took care of myself well, despite my predicament, and Lana always told me how proud she was of me. So, hearing him call me a liability made me feel sad and pissed.
Baby, you don't have to take sides. You don't have to defend her. People like her are liabilities, I know that. Come on, don't pretend. She stresses you a lot, right?
Can you stop this? You're embarrassing me in front of my sister, Johnson. She's not a burden to me, okay?
But you know she is. We've been together for a year, love. I know when you're lying, and right now you are. Tell me, do you help her clean her butt when she uses the toilet?
Excuse me? There. I lost my cool. What? How could he say such a thing? I respect you a lot, but I won't stand and watch you say such things about me.
You can't even stand, young lady.
Johnson!
That was the truth. Can she stand? She ought to use words she can make happen. She could have easily said, sit.
My lips trembled as I got teary. He was being so disrespectful to me. I couldn't believe that I was so happy to meet such a horrible person.
Get out of my house, Johnson! Get out, you piece of shit!
Lana pushed him out and rushed back to comfort me. She promised to end things with him, but I refused to be the cause of that. To introduce him to our parents, I knew Lana loved him. I couldn't bring myself to be the reason for their separation. You won't do that, Lana. I can't let it happen. I'll avoid him until he accepts me, okay? She was sad, but she finally accepted and apologized to me. I believed and hoped that Johnson would apologize to me too. I deserved that. Unfortunately, he never did. I didn't bother anymore. After about a month, they began making plans for their wedding. My sister got a promotion and felt it was the right time to get married. One day, I was home with Scott, her best friend, when Lana and Johnson walked in. He greeted Scott, but when I greeted him, he ignored me. Johnson, I said hi to you.
I refuse to reply. I don't wish to speak to you. Can you let me be? Gosh, come on, man, don't be like that. She's your sister-in-law. You should be respectful to her.
It's fine, Scott. I'll just go to my room. Lana tried to stop me, but I gave her a reassuring smile before wheeling myself away. In my room, I heard their yelling, and I knew they were fighting because of me again. I felt so sad. After that day, I made sure to avoid Johnson. I moved my things to my room and worked from there so that they won't walk in while I'm in the living room. Lana didn't like that and felt bad, but I assured her that I was fine. Well, their wedding day drew closer and we began hastening the plans. One day, Scott, Lana, and I were in the living room picking out me and Scott's dress when Johnson walked in. I was startled and made to go to my room when Lana stopped me. Thankfully, Johnson ignored me. Well, I did the same. He went to sit beside Lana and took the design book.
What are you doing?
We're picking out dresses for Scott and Lily. Lily's gonna be my chief bridesmaid.
I watched as Johnson's face contorted into a frown. He stood up angrily and I knew he was going to go livid.
She's coming to our wedding? I can't believe you, Lana. How can you let this disabled thing come to our wedding? She's gonna embarrass us in front of my business partners.
Don't say that, Johnson. This is my sister. Can you hear yourself? She has to be at my wedding. It's a must, okay?
I felt bad seeing them arguing again. At the same time, I also felt angry. Why would he not want me at my sister's wedding? I could tolerate him hating me, but not this. Scott stepped in and tried to make Johnson understand that I had to be in attendance, but Johnson refused to listen. He kept yelling, and at one point, he nearly slapped me. Scott had to step in and kick him out of the house. My sister burst into tears, and I did too. I felt so bad because I was the cause of it. I tried to tell her to take me out of the wedding attendee list, but Lana wasn't having any of it.
You're my sister, Lily. I will never pick a man over you. I will call off this wedding if Johnson refuses to let you be my bridesmaid.
Before I could speak, she stormed out of the house. I started crying again. Thankfully, Scott was there to support me. Lana reported the issue to the whole family after Johnson kept refusing. A family meeting was held, but I refused to attend. I didn't want more trouble than I'd already caused. Scott was there. He'd already become like family to us. I also knew he cared a lot about Lana. He liked her, but couldn't tell her because he was afraid of losing their friendship. He came home first after the meeting to tell me that Lana had called off the wedding.
Johnson kept saying offensive things about you. Your parents and his parents warned him, but he didn't stop. Lana got angry and called off the wedding.
I felt even worse. My sister wouldn't be getting married because of me. I needed to be left alone, so I asked Scott to leave. He tried to protest, but I yelled at him and he eventually left. I locked the door and went to my room to cry my eyes out. About 30 minutes later, I heard the front door open. I thought it was Lana, so I left my room so I could apologize. You can imagine my shock when I saw Johnson. He looked drunk and angry. Before I could speak, he pounced on me and began hitting me. He slapped, punched, and even strangled me. He was so angry. According to him, I had ruined his marriage plans with Lana. I began to scream for help when he started taking my clothes off. I knew what was going to happen. Just after my last button was off, Scott and Lana walked in. Apparently, Scott was scared that I'd hurt myself, so he'd gone to get Lana. Seeing me in that situation, they quickly stepped in and pulled him away. Angrily, Scott began punching him. He didn't stop until Johnson fell and fainted, his nose and lips broken. The cops were quickly called and they arrested the unconscious man. There, they discovered that on his way to our house, he hit someone with his car and ran away. He panicked and went somewhere and started drinking before coming to where I was. If others didn't find the woman, she would have died there. News spread quickly. Johnson was a famous man as well as his gaming company. Immediately people heard the news, they began hating him. They stormed his house, destroying and also stealing things. His car's windows were broken, the tires bursted. People also boycotted his games. In barely 2 weeks, his workers resigned. His company was abandoned. He was canceled. Well, Johnson was kept in the custody of the cops. Lana and I delayed his trial so he would witness his downfall before going to jail. And yes, he was miserable. His eyes were dead, and he had huge eye bags, as well as dark under eyes. His hair and beard overgrew. He looked tattered. We eventually charged him to court where he was sentenced to 20 years imprisonment for attempted murder, attempted rape, and physical assault. After that, Lana broke down. She loved Johnson, so I could understand her pain. I had to move into my parents' house to give her space. Scott was with her. He was the only one she allowed in her space. He took care of her and hardly ever left her side. After 1 year, Lana was finally over him. She refused to date anyone else. I moved back in with her and she apologized for shutting me out. I understood and also apologized for being the main cause of her issue with Johnson.
Don't ever blame yourself. He's a bad and evil man. He would do the same to someone else.
I also got to know that he had anger issues and even hit Lana twice. I stopped blaming myself and accepted that he was bad. 2 years later, after I even moved out of Lana's house, she still refused to date anyone. I knew Scott was still in love with her, so I told her about it. I was surprised when she shyly told me she was aware. She also liked him, but was waiting for him to confess. Eventually, they both confessed and began dating. I was so happy because I knew she was in good hands. They only dated for 6 months before getting married. Everyone was so happy. Even Johnson's parents attended the wedding and were happy for Scott and Lana. 3 months after their wedding, I tried therapy sessions to see if I could walk. Fortunately, it worked. A year later, I was finally able to walk a few distances. It's been 6 years now. I walk properly and don't need any support. I'm married and have a kid with my husband. Lana and Scott already have 2 kids and are living happily. They both started a gaming company 2 years back, and it's one of the popular gaming companies now. As for me, I have my own marketing brand, and my husband is a well-known businessman with companies scattered around the globe. As for Johnson, he's still in jail. I visited him a year ago to spite him. He was shocked to see me walking and even more shocked to hear about how good all of us are doing. He had become even more miserable and looked way older than his age. He did beg for my forgiveness and asked me to apologize to Lana. I refused. He doesn't deserve my forgiveness, and Lana refuses to listen to anything about him. He can rot in jail alone for all we care. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.